Hello, hello. I hope you can hear me. Hello? Hello. Let me see. Oi, Fê. Can you hear me? Okay, good. Okay, let's go to Instagram now. I don't even remember at this point, Fernanda, what I'm supposed to say in this life. No, I'm just kidding. Technical issues coming back. Okay. Let's see if this works. Well, it's cutting my head off. Okay. I guess this is good enough. Let's see. 1 second, please. Hello. Can you hear me on Instagram as well? Well, I guess now I'm good. Hello, hello, welcome. Hello, Barbara. Welcome. Well, okay. We're back. I guess technical issues are solved, hopefully. Anyways, straight to the point, like always. Hi, Fernanda. How are you? I hope you guys. Hello. So, okay, you're hearing me. Okay, today I am coming back on doing lives. So I'm glad you're here. I changed the time, so if you're watching this later on, also I want to thank you. And today the topic is fear of being judged. Honestly, I quite think a lot about that. But yesterday, was funny because I received a message from a friend that it was actually a part of the Bible or something like this. And in the sermon, they were saying about it was literally like this: don't judge if you don't want to be judged. So mainly that was the sermon of that day that she sent me. And I started to think about this topic, and I have been through so many different understandings regarding the fear of being judged and by judging itself. So one thing that is really beautiful that I got from that phrase that they share with me, it's like this: sometimes it's obvious for us, right, that we are afraid of being judged, or then when we are judging someone, or when we are judging our own selves. However, there are times that is not that obvious. So I want to give you an example. That's where I went and I decided to do this live like that, because it was like this: okay, whenever I can realize really quick uh, that I am afraid of being judged. For example, if I'm going to put a cloth, to go to a wedding, and I look myself in the mirror and I said, maybe people will think that I'm not well dressed, or something just simple and easy, right? I can catch myself really easily saying, okay, it's not that I'm afraid of being judged. I am worried about what is going to be the other impression of me, right? Let's say another example. Oh, wow. If I actually start sharing with others what I love the most, maybe They are gonna think, oh, I'm crazy, or I'm not successful enough, whatever it is. So sometimes, like, I'm gonna do a live, and right now I'm changing my job, and I'm gonna be talking about this spirituality. Oh, people are gonna think I went nuts. This is one example. Those are easy things that we can catch ourselves because we say it. People are gonna think that. However, there are other parts that are not that obvious. So, for example, I was really thinking about that regarding my own self. So, I always thought, okay, that I didn't care about what people said about me. I really thought about that for a long time. I'm like, whatever. If they want to talk, they talk, and it's interesting. And why did I had that impression? Right? Well, if someone would come, I remember one day my mother coming to me and she wanted to tell me a gossip about a girl that went to her to talk about me. And literally, whenever she told me what the girl said to her about me, I laughed. I was like, do you know what I think it's funny? I told my mom, I said, she doesn't even know me. Let's start from there. It's interesting to see how she's judging me because this tells me much more about her than me. And third, whatever, I am maybe gonna give her a call to figure out how she has time to actually be thinking about someone else's life that she doesn't even know who that person is because I want that time. But I remember I always had this because this wouldn't be something that actually turned me down or that I would be worried about. So I always thought I didn't care what others were saying about me because I would go there and do whatever I wanted, whatever I, in that time, obviously, right? I'm going to express myself in the way I am, and people are going to talk anyways. I kind of had that understanding inside me until, so I always thought, like, okay, I don't care about the judgment of others until I caught myself understanding that I actually did care because I was the one judging my own self in many levels. So let me explain. Sometimes in areas of our life, we know that we have certain, it's obvious for us. Like I started saying, it's obvious for us that, okay, I am doing this because I'm afraid of being judged. Others are not that obvious. And there is also this one that I just shared with you that is actually something that you still haven't figured out on your own self. Meaning, well, we as human beings is part of our nature, to want to be part of something. We need that as humans to be in a community. And we want somehow, even in our unconscious, we do things, we act in ways that will help us out be accepted by this community that we want to be part of. It can be the community that I'm talking, can be our parents. We want to be part of that family, right? So maybe a lot of times you're going to be like, oh, I'm not going to do this because my mother is going to feel this way. Or what is my father going to think if I change my career? This type of things. Why we're doing that? Why are we worrying about the other? Well, we want to be part. This is a natural thing of the human, right? So whenever I told you this example about this girl, like, okay, I don't know if it was the whole point is I truly did not care what she was saying because I don't even know her. So whatever, people talk and that's it. However, I realized something. Whenever I started, it was not true that I didn't care about what others said about me, because somehow, in a subtle way, I thought I couldn't be or I couldn't act in a way because maybe people would misinterpret me. For example, meaning. That's why we're going to talk about the stereotypes a little bit here. Let's say, oh, wow, if people know, if I am a person, so let's put it, this is Ella. I am a person that I like the good things of life. I don't know who doesn't like the good things of life. I like sleeping in a good bed. I like eating a good food. Well, I like that. And if I have the means, the financial means to actually treat me that way, I am going to give myself that treat. So if I am giving myself that treat, how come can I be telling people to do a conscious consumption? So I was worried. So you see how subtle this is? We start actually judging our own selves. And this is the life of today. I want to invite you to understand, and I'm going to talk about the stereotypes. So whenever we tell ourselves, I don't care about being judged, we're lying to ourselves because we do care. I think in areas of our lives is more, we can perceive that easier. And in other areas of our lives, it takes a little bit of work. Okay, I am sure that as a human being living in this dimension with this wire in our brain, that we actually have to be part of something, right? We are a community. So this understanding brought so many distortions, and obviously in different levels. So there are people that are super afraid of being judged, that all their actions are based on perfection, on trying to be nice to the other because they are absolutely afraid of judgment. There are others that are just pay attention on this fear of judgment regarding, let's say, their family or their boss or their significant other. There are others, just this example as I gave you, that Eva Rice, for example, it's Eva Rice, like it's super easy for me to understand that I fear a lot being judged by my parents. Why? Because I truly want them to be proud of me, because they gave their best in order to educate me, in order to raise me, and I want them to be proud. And maybe a lot of times when I want to, for example, when I decided to go live in the middle of the forest and give up my work and give up my job and the security, I wasn't afraid actually of the experience that I was going to have there, or if I would change my mind and do a completely different career. That was not the real fear. The real fear was, am I going to disappoint my parents? And sometimes this is not that obvious, but however, even though, as I told you, let's say if people talk about me, I heard so many times in my life. That's super interesting. Oh wow, Ella. Oh no, people look at you and they label you, and we're gonna go into a little bit more depth on that. However, it's like if you're labeled in one way, you cannot be another way. And we're going to explain this because I can be that person that actually went to the university, graduated, and as of right now is deciding to go a completely different route. So, literally, the fear of being judged, if we really look into the core of it, uh, it comes from all the personas that we identify with. So, as I was giving you my example, why? Doesn't matter the reasons why. But I know, and I shared with you, that I want my parents to be proud of me. So that means if they judge me, if they tell me, you got absolutely nuts. Are you going to the forest to do drugs? What the hell? Are you mentally idiot? You worked so hard to be where you are. How the hell? I am afraid. So of the pain that their judgment is going to cause me. But you see, I can punctuate those because now I can work with the reality of understanding about judgments. And this is what we're going to talk about here today. However, what I'm inviting you to look at here is we are doing that in the world that we are right now, every time more. And with people that we have no idea who they are, with the social media. Really, we don't have to go, I don't know where. Maybe it's not even you, but I am sure if you translate this into your own life, you're going to be able to see that. But look at the social media. Are you afraid of being judged, of being canceled? There is it actually. I know there's a lot of Brazilians that watch me, and there is something that they are talking right now. There is a reality show in Brazil that is called Big Brother Brazil. And this edition is absolutely, like, everybody's saying that this edition is, I don't watch it. I don't have the channel anyways, but it's super warm. There is no entertainment because everybody that is there playing a game is afraid of being canceled and being judged in the internet, because the last edition, people were annihilated. So everybody's like not even being themselves, not even measuring themselves because of this fear. So Truly, we don't have to be in a reality show to look at that. When you're going to post something on your social media, just an example, maybe that's your case, do you censor yourself because you're afraid of being judged? Whenever you're going to choose a clothes, are you choosing that because of yourself and you're looking in the mirror and feeling great, or you're choosing that because you have to give an impression because you're afraid of being judged? So these understandings, this actually work, internal work, to understanding which areas of our lives we fear the most being judged. That's a work that it's for you to do. All I'm sharing here with you is all human beings alive somehow do fear being judged. And my invitation for you is pay attention. How much do you fear that? Because this is actually taking you out and more far away from the person, from your true self. Because I have talked in another life, but I want to bring this a little bit here, which is the personas, that our ego, which is what keeps us alive. Um, how many personas we identify with. So, for example, I can identify with I'm a worker, I am a mother, I am a wife, I am whatever. All of these society roles that we identify with, somehow we have worked so hard to have them that actually our brain thinks that we're gonna die if we lose one of them. What is the problem with that? The problem is this couldn't be far away from the reality. This is literally every persona we create, every mask we identify with, is taking us further and further away from our own light. And our own light, I'm talking here, is who we truly are. Because we believe we have to be in a certain way in order to get something in return. It can be part of a group or be seen in a certain way and so on. So the invitation here is get to know yourself and start realizing what does these judgments come from. Because going back to the sermon that I heard, that's the whole thing where my brain went to look for this need, or this fear of being judged, is the sermon simply states, in order not to be judged, don't judge. And what I want to bring for you here, we talk about this a couple of times before. Religion somehow takes away our power, but also try to put us in the right path by making us afraid. So whenever I was hearing that sermon, it got clear to me that if I didn't want it to be judged by God, I should not judge anybody else around me. And why? Because whenever I judge people, when we have this tendency, we are great judges. Everybody's graduated in being a judge. And I'm going to go why. Not because we're bad people, because I'm going to explain why. Naturally, we are graduated in being a judge. But, anyways, we are great judges. We always have something to say, an opinion to share. This is right, this is wrong. However, when we are the ones being judged, we are afraid, we feel pain, we feel frustration, we feel that that's not fair, that the person is not seeing all of us. So going back to the sermon, that I want to say 2 points here. One is, I don't care if you start that like by being afraid. So if you're not going to judge people because you are afraid that God is going to judge you, okay, great. Just the intention of you not judging people is going to have as a consequence you understanding that judgment is not true, meaning your opinion doesn't matter and the opinion of the other doesn't matter. So why would you waste your energy judging others? Because truly, whenever you don't judge the other, you don't fear the other judging you. You're going to fear being judged exactly in the same proportion that you judge people. Let that sink in. You're gonna fear of being judged in the same proportion as you judge people. So whenever you stop judging people, let's say you see a woman there, and in your head you say, whatever, you make a judgment. Why is she talking this way? Why is she dressing this way? When you catch yourself judging someone, in that second, stop. Say whatever helps you out, but you can stop in that second and say, Ella, she's just dressing the way she wants. What do you have to do with that? Is this affecting your life? No, it's not affecting your life. And if it is, go look at yourself, because this has nothing to do with the person. Anyways, whenever you catch yourself judging, and this is an exercise that you can do, stop yourself. Stop yourself. Tell yourself, am I always right? No. So I allow other people to be wrong as well. Am I always in a good mood? No. So I'm going to allow the other person to be in a bad mood as well. Whatever it is that you catch yourself judging others, stop judging. You will see that more as you do this exercise, more whenever people judge you, you're going to start feeling less and less that pain. You're going to be like, oh, whatever. Just exactly what the example that I shared with you about my mother telling me about that girl. Like, she told me, I found it funny. I truly found it funny for the fact that she knew more about my life than I did about my life. So I found it funny. This shows me much more about her than me. And I think that the things that I heard would, do you know why? Whenever I heard, which was really not great things as in my judgment, and I looked at that for a second. I don't even know who she is. I looked at that for a second and I'm like, is this, does this have 1% true on it? Because if it does, I have the opportunity to go there and try to be a better person. But if I'm not seeing any true on this, and this is what she thinks, what do I have to do with that? Okay. Okay. So you see, the consequence of us work on ourselves not to judge the other is not caring what other judges us. Now, going a little bit deeper, I want to invite you to think about one thing. Our biggest judge is us against our own selves. And why? Also has to do with the other. And that's the example that I gave you for my parents, for example. And I think a lot of you can relate to that, which is you love those people. You don't want to disappoint those people. So even before I even do anything, I'm already afraid that they're going to judge me. So this is the second type, right? But you see, we always want something. We want to be part, we want to be admired, we want something. So the invitation is super simple whenever we understand the whole idea about self-knowledge and self-development is not learning more, is actually simplifying things. That's the beauty of it. We have, imagine this, I wanted to have a light here. So imagine a light here. This is who you are. This is your true self. Now we are going to put your first persona. Now you're going to put your fears of not being part of something. Now you're going to put another fear, that is the fear of, oh my God, I want so much that my parents admire me, and so on. What is going on with your light? At this point, you're not even seeing your light anymore. So the idea here is to start taking away all of these masks, personas, egos, and so on for our light to shine. So now that we have talked a little bit about this universal pain, which is we are afraid of being judged. And the reason why we are afraid is because we judge people. So the invitation here, you already got it, is catch yourself judging, okay? Anyone. Stop yourself in that second and then see what are the consequences of that work. However, today I wanted to talk about something else, which is related to this, obviously, but which is about stereotypes and archetypes. So I think it's good that we actually start first of all with a little definition about this, just so we are all on the same page. What are stereotypes? Well, stereotype is, let me get from the dictionary. Yes, okay. Stereotype is a type of belief that is triggered by prior assumptions. So today, in a little bit, we're going to talk a little bit more about the stereotype of spirituality. But let's bring another stereotype here. So stereotype, as we understand, is triggered by prior assumptions. So there are many stereotypes that I can think of. If you can think about any, you can share here with me. But I'm gonna bring a couple of ones. I don't know if you have this in America, but one stereotype in Brazil is all blonde women are dumb. Another stereotype. Native Americans that live in the forest are lazy and drug addicts. This is a stereotype. Another stereotype. People of color are not polite. So what is the stereotypes? Stereotypes is literally by a characteristic of trait, we actually englobe, we put all this group of people in the same bag, right? This is a stereotype, and usually stereotypes are negative. Okay, so this is the first thing we're gonna go a little bit deeper into that. That's why stereotypes are so harmful. Let me give you a little bit about the stereotype of the spiritual community. Look how they, even though you can say, you know what, I am not a racist, as I gave the example about the people of color. Well, you can be you can consider yourself not being a racist. However, there is a stereotype that lives in your unconscious because it is known that, oh, they might be not polite. Or let's say the one for the blonde as well, or the one for the Native Americans, the indigenous people. Why? They just want to be there doing drugs and don't do nothing, and the government has to pay for them. So this couldn't be more far from the reality about stereotypes, right? So we're going to get to there in a second. What is an archetype? Which is something that I love working, and we do a lot of this work with archetypes in the self-development and self-knowledge path. Archetypes is a universally understood symbol. Okay, so let me go a little bit deeper into this. It's like a model. It's like the ideal characteristics of something. And normally an archetype is actually a positive or neutral description. So let's say Jung, I don't want to go into this. There is a lot of discussions actually in the psychology through psychologists trying to understand what is the difference between a stereotype and archetypes. Okay, so obviously it's not just what I'm sharing here with you today, but in order for us to get what I want us to get, I think this is good enough, which is basically stereotypes are based on prior assumptions, and archetypes are actually something that we all can relate. Let me give you a better example between those two. Okay, I'm not finding the example I wrote, so I'm just going to come up with one here. Let's start by a stereotype. Whenever we think about stepmothers, what is the stereotype based on prior assumptions that go into your head? Well, stepmothers, they are bad, they are jealous, they are never going to be your mom, they're never going to care for you. Now you ask yourself, is this true? All stepmothers are like that? No, that's a stereotype, right? Are all Native Americans lazy? No. Are all blonde women dumb? No. These are stereotypes. Whenever we talk about spirituality, let me go into this right now. Spirituality, somehow there is a stereotype in our mind that for a person to be spiritual, let's say a woman, for a woman to be spiritual, she's going to be dressing in long skirts. She's going to be wearing flowers in her hair. She's not going to shave. She's not going to care. She's not going to paint her nails. She's not going to like jewelry. She's not going to be attached to the material world. She's going to post naked pictures and run in the forest. Or let's say another stereotype. In order for you to be spiritual, you're going to have to be like monja, like this Buddha, the monks, and so on. So you're going to imagine yourself using those clothes that are not tight, and you're going to shave your head, and you're going to go to ashram in India, and that's the only time you're going to be spiritual. These are stereotypes, right? Because this couldn't be further away from the truth. So, first of all, since I got into this spirituality already, we have to understand that the reasons why we lie to ourselves and we live so much in illusion is because of everything that I have been telling you. Personas that we think we have to be there in order not to die. Then we put our personality and so on that we are creating in order to survive because we think we need to be these people in order to survive the world we live. However, it's interesting to think that actually you are a spiritual being. So, how come you believe that there is an archetype? I'm sorry, there is a stereotype of being a spiritual person. This is your nature. You are a spiritual being living an experience inside this body and this vehicle. So let's start from there. Whenever we identify so much with the roles that we play, is when we start losing track of what true in reality we are. You are a spiritual being. Can you imagine? So you don't have to go to the top of the mountain in order to work on your spirituality. You don't have to look and dress and talk in a certain way. Not every being that is spiritual is going to talk like this. Hello, we are all calm today and we are going to talk, and that's it. That's a specific characteristic of that person. If she's teaching meditation, if it's not, whatever it is. Look, I'm inviting you here to do a journey with me, self development, self knowledge. And I don't know how many times I have told you things that I work on myself. I am not a being that has answered or is illuminated and has reached the path. Absolutely not. I'm a common human being like all of us, a spiritual being living in this reality and trying to find peace in the middle of the chaos. And how do I do that? By working on my um by working on my I'm sorry, I'm receiving a call. Are you guys still being able to hear me? Can you just give me a thumbs up that you're still listening to me, that you're still hearing me? You guys hearing me? Hello, hello. Hello, can you hear me? Oita, hello, hello. Are we back? Can you hear me? Now, yes, yes. Thank you. Okay, we're back. So let me see, where was I? Let's see. Okay, anyways, lost where I was. Sorry about that. Okay. I know about the spiritual archetypes. Sorry, stereotypes. So the whole conclusion that I wanted to do with this is literally this. Let's understand that we are spiritual beings. We are that. So developing our spiritual side is literally the reality. And you don't have to look in a certain way. You don't have to act or talk in a certain way in order to uh, be a spiritual. It was interesting because I heard from a client of mine once. Her name is Antonia, and she's like, Ella, until I met you, I thought spirituality and self development was never for me because she's an artist, and she's like, I'm a person of the action. And every time I saw these people that talks about spirituality and meditation and so on, uh, they all have nothing to do like me. I'm not calm. And I'm like, wow, do you know one thing I want to share with you, Antonia? I said, the time, if you don't have time to meditate, is exactly when you have to meditate. So, this is something really interesting for me because we believe these are stereotypes. How come never crossed her mind that she's living this life? And even though she's not like that person, learning the patience, learning how to work on her anxiety exactly the way and how she is. This is an invitation for her to work on her spirituality. So after we had this talk, was super nice because she said, I finally am now into this world, but doing and understanding myself from a different perspective. I'm not trying to be like Monja. I'm not trying to be like the monk. I'm not trying to be someone I'm not. I talk fast. My brain works fast. So what is? How am I as an individual with um, individual traits and characteristics? Am I going to work in my spirituality? Right? So, well, this is what I wanted to share with you about the stereotypes. Also, I wanted to touch a little bit upon archetypes. Reason why is like this. Archetypes are something that we identify, and in a lot of talks and courses that I give, I love working with them. So I brought this for us to understand a little bit more the difference between them. So, for example, whenever I say the archetype of the warrior, whenever I ask you, okay, so if this is something, archetypes, there's something that we all can identify, but we don't put specific traits. For example, warrior. The warrior is someone that universally for all of us is someone that is strong, is someone that goes conquer things. But are we talking that that person actually has to be a man or has to be dressed in a certain way or has to have this certain position or this profession? No, there is no specific traits. There is the idea that that energy and that archetype brings it to you. So, for example, I got this. There are many different archetypes, but I got this one so we can talk a little bit about them. I don't know if you can. Well, here you see some archetypes of the explorer, of the hero, of the ruler, and so on. And all of them, you see, they are part of our life. So, provide a structure, a spiritual journey, connect to others, leave a mark. This is something that all of us, we actually live through our lives. So whenever the whole idea about working with archetypes, in my opinion, in the way I invite us to work is like this. Let's say maybe as of right now, you are too much in the archetype of the lover, intimacy. Let's say you're planning your wedding. It's okay that we are vibrating in certain archetypes more in certain areas of our life. However, you're like, okay, now I want to invite the magician because I need to co-create. I need the power in order to put this into practice. So these archetypes are kind of energies that are in their ideal form that we all can relate to as humans. And archetypes can be situations, folklores, myths, and so on. We get so much information understanding through that. So the invitation, let's say, whenever I'm working with women, we always talk about the archetype of the warrior, the archetype of the mother, the archetype of the wise woman, and the archetype of the enchantress. And we work with these energies with not specific traits. Okay, it's like the whole idea what it is for you a mother. Well, universally we're going to think that a mother is someone that cares, someone that nourish, someone that take care, someone that has this connection, this love connection. This is something I think. Does this mean all mothers on the planet are great mothers? No, that doesn't mean that. But there is no specific traits. Correct? So this is more or less the difference between archetypes and stereotypes. So I invite you to try every day more to work with archetypes, but especially to understand what are the stereotypes that are so inside of you that you cannot even realize. Okay, like the stereotype of I cannot. So, for example, I'm gonna give you another example. I always loved tattoos, always, 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 always. And I always like to, they're important for me because this is art that I express in my body and so on. I had the stereotype that if I was a person with tattoos, I wouldn't be able to get a serious job. I wouldn't be so taking care. I wouldn't be taken seriously. I'm sorry. I have a really good one that is like this. This in Brazil is like, at least when I was a kid, was super strong, that they always said that blonde women are dumb. And why? There was all this sexualization about, a woman that is beautiful cannot have brain. And I don't know why they have this saying, loira burra, so the blonde is dumb. And I remember that when I was a kid, and kids can be really, really harsh. I heard a lot in school for some reason, whatever, hey, loira burra. And that I remember that hurted me so much. Look how interesting it is. I have worked unconsciously. I got this imprinted in my subconscious, right? Unconsciously, my whole life, if I look right now that I have the tools and the knowledge to look back, I almost want to laugh. But I have studied so much in my life because I really wanted to prove, even though I knew I was never dumb, and even though obviously not every blonde woman is dumb, somehow inside of me, I had to prove to the world that I was smart. So that means it's not okay for me just to pass the grades. No, I'm not a joke. When let's say there is by numbers, right? So let me just translate it. So whenever I didn't get an A, if I get an A minus, I would feel bad. Me with me. I had to get A or A plus. Look how much, because of based on stereotypes, what we do for us. And obviously, I'm talking about a kid. So obviously, a kid doesn't have the perception of reality and not even connections to understand that I am doing that because of a stereotype. No, but for me, I had to be, the teacher had to say, oh, the best grade was from her, because now anybody would be able to come to me and say the blondes are dumb. I'm giving you this example just because sometimes we don't even realize how little things in life, how little stereotypes put us somewhere. Let's say, whenever I went to Amazon, okay, obviously there are many layers there. However, somehow I had the stereotype of, oh my God, literally, my mother came to me and she was asking me for real if I was a drug addict. And I'm like, you know me forever. What do you mean? What are you gonna do in the middle of these Native Americans? And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm gonna learn about this, learn about that. I'm doing a documentary about this. You are going nuts, you went nuts. So look at the stereotypes. Oh, and then everybody, oh my God, is she okay? People around me, my friends, are you okay? Are you going through something? Why did you disappear in the middle of the forest? No one look at that like, oh my God, how courageous she is that she's taking a leap into being who she is. And that's it. And she's going, and she's gonna go back to Miami to drive her car and go to nice restaurants. But that's so important for her own personal life. No, this was never asked. Everything that came to you came from a stereotype that, oh, she's going through a transition in her spirituality. That's why she's going. Look where the judgment comes. So I'm telling you, we have stereotypes somehow, and then judgment comes. And when we see, we are even first we're judging others, and then the whole story that we talked in the beginning. We're judging others, and we are afraid of being judged. All of this, everything, all these miscellaneous that I said to you in this life is bringing us to the point that uh, whenever we are close to the truth, is we are going back, we're doing this way back to our true self. Our true self is authentic. Our true self different than our brain. Our brain, it works this way. It segregates, it labels things. That's how the third dimension reality works. So it's normal that we label. We look at this and we label. This is a pen, this is a red pen, and so on. Something that is interesting that I want to invite you to think about that I just thought about right now. Because of this duality and this labeling that is natural for us human beings, we don't understand that things can be gray. For example, how many times have you noticed that you look at someone or a stereotype, or when you are judging someone and you're like, you see something bad about that person, you saw that person being jealous or doing bad to someone. It's really hard for us if we're not aware of that to stop and say, okay, this person is bad by my judgment, because being bad or good is just my judgment anyways, but she's also good in this. So this person is simply a human being experiencing and being everything, the higher self and the lower self. Meaning you're looking at that person. Whenever we understand that the person is a whole, what judgment makes sense? The only judgments that exist inside that make sense is, okay, this is how this person is loving me. By my judgment, do I feel good or bad? I feel good. I stay. By my judgment, I feel good or bad. I'm not gonna go there point to the other person because the other person has to change. Absolutely not. By my judgment, no, this person hurts me. I don't like the way she lives life, whatever it is. Okay, so I don't have to share my life with that person. That's the only purpose of the judgment. However, we are so far from the truth that we actually keep putting things because we think we have to survive. So the whole invitation of this life, because I am already talking for a long time, is let's start by catching ourselves whenever we are judging people. And whenever we do that, stop yourself right there. You will see that consequently, without you having to do anything, you're going to be able to start feeling less afraid of being judged until you reach the conclusion, but not the conclusion here, is the conclusion with all your being, that judgments are a waste of energy and time because they are not even a reality. Whatever I judge as good, you might judge as bad. Who is right? No one. Like there is no right or wrong. That's the whole thing. That's the mind, the label. So I invite you also, if it's hard for you, try to remember. You have something with that person, you're pissed. Try to think about one good thing that the person does, just so you remember, okay, that person is hurts me here, but not there. Okay, this is the gray area. I can not judge. I don't know what that person is going through, right? And has nothing at the end to do with me. So that's it. I invite you all to think about the stereotypes we have in our head. I brought in a little bit more depth the stereotypes of spirituality. Let me tell you something. You are a spiritual being. It doesn't matter what you eat, how you dress, how you talk, how you behave. If you like the material world or not, these are judgments that have absolutely no. That doesn't matter. That's how it is. So thank you so much for being here with me. Today I did at this time. I think it's better because I'm a little bit more awake than at 8 p.m. So we'll talk more. Actually, there is a class in the portal that we are creating that is super nice. I want to share just with you a little bit, which we go much more in depth about the archetypes. You see, in every level that I shared with you, we actually have the ego, the self, and the soul. ego is not good, and so ego is not bad and so is good. Absolutely not. Everything has two polarities and everything is important. So with this, we start understanding where we stand, how we are, and so on. I talk a lot. Seriously, I wanted to share with you like a couple of mottos of the core desires, the goals, the biggest fears, the strategies about the archetypes, but I think this is going to be another live. So thank you so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.